Good evening, Americans, and welcome to the Ed Show tonight from New York. Mitt Romney's spineless response to Rush Limbaugh's controversy has caught the attention of the president, and Sarah Palin is trying to play the victim again. Keep it right here. It's the Ed Show. Let's get to work.
Everything is fine on the business side. Everything's cool. There is not a thing to worry about.
Rush is spinning hard and Republicans refuse to lead.
The Limbaugh thing was a test of leadership. And, Mitt Romney's failed those tests in the campaign.
New reporting says Mitt Romney's ties to Clear Channel could be the reason he's taking it easy on Rush. The latest on the boycott with Crystal Ball and the politics with Ohio State Senator Nina Turner.
I believe that it's going to be impossible for a moderate to win the general election.
Push is coming to shove today in the disastrous Republican primary. Sam Stein and Bob Shrum on the Super Tuesday aftermath. Meanwhile, Game Change 2 is starting to right itself.
No, I wouldn't close that door, and my plan is to be at that convention.
Richard Wolff on the latest Palin sanity. And the right-wing conspiracy theorists get scooped on their old Obama tape.
This scholarship has opened up new vistas and new horizons and changed the standards of what legal writing is about.
E.J. Dionne on the president's old tape and his new campaign push.
Good to have you with us tonight, folks. Thanks for watching. Republicans just can't bring themselves to criticize Rush Limbaugh in any way, shape, or form. The GOP candidates have been so critical of President Obama, but they will not condemn outrageous attacks by a commercial radio talk show host. Mitt Romney punted on his first chance to address Limbaugh's attack on Sandra Fluke. Romney was given a second chance, and he ran away from it again.
My campaign is about jobs and the economy and scaling back the size of government, and I'm not going to weigh in on that particular controversy.
Not going to weigh in on it. Well, Romney says that he's not going to weigh in on Rush Limbaugh because it's not what his campaign is about. Really? Mitt, it doesn't have anything to do with money? Romney's former company bought Rush Limbaugh's syndicator, Premier Radio, in 2008. An article in the Daily Beast by Wayne Barrett described the valuable relationship between Clear Channel Communications and Mitt Romney. How about this? 14 Clear Channel directors have personally given more than $726,000 to Mitt Romney, most of it in the current presidential campaign. 5 of those directors from Romney's former company, Bain Capital. Mitt Romney has a financial connection to Limbaugh's boss, which means Limbaugh is pretty well insulated from Romney's criticism, don't you think? President Obama's campaign strategist David Axelrod said Romney is showing that he will have a hard time standing up to anyone as president.
These are tests. Presidential campaigns are tests. You're tested every single day in different ways. The Limbaugh thing was a test of leadership, and you have them all the time. And, Mitt Romney's failed those tests in the campaign.
Romney just can't find a spine, Kenny. And the right-wing noise machine is trying to pick up the slack. They're setting up a smokescreen to distract people from what Rush actually said.
I think the definition of hypocrisy is for Rush Limbaugh to have been called out, forced to apologize, and retract what it is that he said in exercising his First Amendment rights, and never is that the same applied to the leftist radicals who say such horrible things about the handicapped, about women, about the defenseless.
Despite what Sarah Palin says, Rush Limbaugh didn't retract his comments. He apologized, let's remember, for 2 words. Not that 9-hour verbal assault over a 3-day period. You know, you throw in the show prep, you take a few hours off, and you come back and you do it again and again. Another right-wing group set up a website, I Stand With Rush, to encourage solidarity with the commercial radio talker. The site founder? Well, Brent Bozell, who has an agenda for defending Rush. One of Bozell's right-wing news sites posted the original article mischaracterizing Sandra Fluke's testimony. Rush also got some support from the Christian Coalition founder and Indian casino scam artist Ralph Reed. Ralph took it upon himself on Twitter to say, Rush, apology accepted. Let's move on and talk about the issues. We're with you. So nice of you to do that, Ralph. Here's a big important fact for you. This was not your apology to accept. Sandra Fluke was victimized by Rush Limbaugh for 3 straight days, and she did not accept the apology. Isn't that important? Many of Rush's advertisers are also not accepting the apology. As of right now, Limbaugh has lost 45 sponsors. Republicans are trying everything they can to avoid criticizing the true leader of the Republican Party. Some of them are even developing wild conspiracy theories.
This whole situation is really about President Obama's entitlement society and his war on freedom of religion in the United States of America. His foot soldier, Sandra Fluke, a contraception activist, is at the center of the storm. President Obama, on the ropes with the economy, and specifically with women voters, gets Mrs. Fluke to create a controversy, and the liberal mainstream media puppets play along as scripted.
Eric Bolling, I tell you what, you are brilliant, dude. That theory is absolutely moronic. Let me ask you a question tonight, folks. Does Darrell Issa have anything to do with this? He is the chairman of the committee that would not allow Sandra Fluke to testify. If he had just let her testify, she would have been another American citizen going up on Capitol Hill, giving her take and insight and story of a friend who has had real problems, medical problems, and needs the contraception medication. He's also ignoring one person who actually created a controversy out of the Sandra Fluke testimony. It's not just Darrell Issa. It's Rush Limbaugh. Republicans, I tell you what, they have really stepped in it day after day on this. Number one, they don't have the character to call Limbaugh out on it. In fact, they don't even want to wade into it. Why? Because they're going to need him in the general election. The second thing is that they are totally disregarding the feelings of Sandra Fluke. Nowhere, anywhere has any of these Republican candidates that I've seen said anything at all about Sandra Fluke and what she has been through. And the Republican Party has now ripped off the scab and let all Americans to see and voters to see that they just don't know anything about women's health care, and they refuse to learn about it. Republicans continue to defend Limbaugh and run away from the opportunity to criticize him. You know what they're going to do? I think they're going to pay a real price when it comes to the female vote in November. And President Obama had nothing to do with it. He didn't start it in any way, shape, or form. And breaking news tonight, Carl Levin from Michigan, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, is calling for the removal of Rush Limbaugh from the Armed Forces Radio Network. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question: would Republicans rather lose the female vote than criticize Rush Limbaugh? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639, or you can always go to our blog at ed.msnbc.com. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. I'm joined tonight by MSNBC contributor and Democratic strategist Crystal Ball, and I want to know how this is playing in the middle of the country. We're joined tonight by Ohio State Senator Nina Turner. Great to have both of you with us tonight. Crystal, I want to ask you first, isn't this about Mitt Romney? I mean, his leadership. I think Axelrod knocked it out of the park, and the Obama campaign has now made this an issue about leadership. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Axelrod was actually too kind in his comments. To me, this is disqualifying. I mean, Mitt Romney has granddaughters, and he can't even take the step of condemning, calling a young woman a slut and a prostitute and demanding her sex tapes.
What about Mrs. Romney? Does Mrs. Romney, is she concerned about this at all? I mean, when you have the President of the United States call Sandra Fluke, when you have questions from the media to the president at the press conference about this, we'll get to that in a moment, how can any of the Republicans just sit back and say, well, he's an entertainer? And that's what they're saying.
That's absolutely right. And you know what this reminds me of, actually? There was that moment on the campaign trail for John McCain in 2008 when a woman was standing up and spouting off about Obama's a Muslim. And John McCain bumbled his response a little bit, but he at least had the courage to say, you know what, ma'am, we disagree, but he's a good man. What will happen when Romney has that same chance, when he's faced with that same moment, which I would argue this is a very similar moment, and he has absolutely failed the test?
Nina Turner, I want to know, how is this playing in Ohio? Big night in Ohio last night. A lot of people are paying attention to politics. Is this going to just run the female vote right into the Democratic camp? What do you think?
Absolutely, Ed. I mean, I've been hearing from women and also men across the state of Ohio and actually the country who are absolutely outraged. You know, everyone that has a mother should be outraged about these misogynistic comments that are being made by the right. You know, you can't give somebody that doesn't have a spine. And it's obvious that Mitt Romney does not have a spine. And anybody that would dare try to say that this was okay or that this was for entertainment purposes, they are absolutely spineless. It is time out for the war on women. You know, they're trying to take us back to the dark ages, Ed, but we're not going.
Well, I want to point out that in the Lilly Ledbetter law, that was the first thing that was signed into law when President Obama was elected, 98% of Republicans in the House voted against it. Equal pay, equal treatment in the workplace. What's your reaction to that? I mean, this is a cultural issue with the Republicans, is it not?
No, it absolutely is. And again, the absolute war on women. And I want women to take notice of this, but also men who love and respect women should take note of this. The last time I checked, women make up over 50% of this country. The last time I checked, women were intelligent. The last time I checked, women contribute to this society as mothers, as wives, as aunts, as caregivers, as teachers, as police officers. This should not be tolerated in the 21st century, Ed. It is absolutely outrageous. And again, anyone who has a mother, anyone who has a woman who loves them, who has cared for them, should be outraged.
This is how the president responded at his press conference yesterday about a question about the Limbaugh controversy.
The reason I called Ms. Fluke is because I thought about Malia and Sasha, and one of the things I want them to do as they get older is to engage in issues they care about, and I don't want them attacked or called horrible names because they're being good citizens.
Crystal, how's that play?
Well, here's the thing that the president has that Mitt Romney completely lacks: the ability to put himself in someone else's shoes. That empathetic quality that Romney has completely failed to display, and the courage to stand up on behalf of people who don't necessarily have a voice. So to me, that was the response that absolutely resonates with people. Him as a father thinking of his own girls.
All right, now let's talk about the health care bill and contraception. I have taken a lot of phone calls on the radio show about Viagra and Cialis. And Nina Turner, you're turning the tables a bit in Ohio when it comes to men's health care, when it comes to treatment and women's health care. What's this bill all about? What are you doing?
Well, Ed, Senate Bill 307, simply all I'm trying to do is protect vulnerable men and make sure that they understand the consequences for their actions if, in fact, they need to be treated for erectile dysfunction. That is most important that they receive an affidavit that should be signed by their current or former partner to make sure that it is physical and not psychological, and that the doctor takes the steps and the time to really explain to them their other options, including natural remedies or celibacy. You know, the policy-making men on the right have taken great care to ensure that women are protected. And I thought it only fair that we protect the greatest gender, men, in this country.
Do you have a website that people can go to and put comments on for that or support it?
Well, they certainly can go to www.ninaturner.org and make comments there. They can also go to the Ohio Senate page, and they can email me there as well.
But I mean, it would seem to me that other state legislators in other states would take your lead on this. I mean, I've gotten phone calls from all over the country. I mean, this is an issue of fairness, is it not?
It is. And, you know, women should not need a permission slip from government to take care of their own reproductive health. They should not need a permission slip. Again, women are intelligent and they know how to take care of their bodies. They know how to make decisions. And again, we want to equalize this here, Ed. We want to equalize it. And so we got to take care of men.
And the breaking news tonight is that the chairman of the Senate Armed Forces Committee in the Senate, Senator Carl Levin of Michigan, is saying that he thinks that Rush Limbaugh's program should be taken off Armed Forces Radio Network. It'll be a story to follow. Crystal Ball and Ohio State Senator Nina Turner, great to have you with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.